A colleague member for Sydney.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. On the 27th of January, I attended a very sad event at the Sirius building in Millers Point when the last resident, Myra Demetriou, moved out. This was a very sad ending to the Save Our Sirius campaign, where the local community and people from all over Sydney and New South Wales fought to save this iconic building that is being sold off by the New South Wales state government. Sirius was built in the 1970s in response to a very strong community campaign against the then government's proposal to knock down historic buildings across the rocks in Millers Point and replace them with high-rise towers. It was supported, this building, Sirius, was supported by the Green Bands, and it would not have been built except for community activism and union activism at the time. It was designated by the National Trust in 2014 for its architectural and social significance. And nevertheless, the New South Wales Liberal government has continued with its plan to sell off this iconic building, this icon of brutalist architecture that has housed working class people, families and individuals since it was built. I wanted to particularly note the role of the union movement in the initial building of this building, the green bands that protected the rocks in Millers Point from destruction decades ago, and the continuing involvement, particularly of the MUA and the CFMEU, in protecting local residents decade after decade from the attempts of state governments to move them out. Millers Point has a proud industrial and maritime history, and unions have worked very hard to defend that legacy. But it wasn't just the union movement that was involved in the Save Our Sirius campaign. It was so many people from so many walks of life. A recent book, Sirius, shares this story, but I particularly wanted to mention Barney Gardner, Shaun Carter and John Dunn for their incredible work to stand up for the people of Millers Point and the rocks. Many residents had lived in this building for decades. Residents like Flo Seckold and Chris Hinkley spoke so movingly about what it meant to them to lose their homes. But in particular, I really wanted to mention Myra Demetriou. Myra first moved to Millers Point in 1959. She is 91 years old and legally blind, and has been forced out of the home that she knows, the home that she is familiar with. It is a shocking thing to see this community broken up in the way that it has been, and to know that iconic buildings like Sirius that aren't just known for their architecture but for the role they've played in society will be lost.
Time has expired.